Hello and welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Muscle for Life. I'm Mike Matthews and thank you for joining me today. Now, I have recorded hundreds of episodes of Muscle for Life, and I've talked about a huge variety of things related to health, fitness, lifestyle, mindset, ranging from the basics of diet and exercise, like energy and macronutrient balance, and progressive overload, and training frequency and volume, to fads like the ketogenic and carnivore diet, and collagen protein, to more unfamiliar territories like body weight set point and fasted cardio. And some episodes resonate with my crowd more than others, but all of them contain at least a few key takeaways that just about anyone can benefit from. At least that's what I tell myself. That's what helps me sit down in the chair every day and do this. And as cool as that is, it poses a problem for you, my dear listener, especially if you are new here. And that is, ain't nobody got time for that. We're talking about probably 1,000+ hours of content at this point. And while some people actually do make the time to listen to most or even all of my podcasts, my wizbang analytics tell me that while many listeners tune in on a regular basis, they don't catch every installment of Muscle for Life, and thus they miss out on insights that could help them get even just a little bit better inside and outside the gym. Because if you just get a little bit better consistently enough, that can add up to big results in the long run. And people have also been telling me that they would like me to do more shorter multi-topic episodes like my Q&As and Says You episodes. And so I got an idea. How about a best of series of podcasts that contains a few of the most practical and compelling ideas, tips, and moments from my most popular episodes, going all the way back to the beginning. This way, people who are new in particular can quickly determine if this is the droid they're looking for, if this podcast is for them or not. And then those who are regulars and enjoy what I'm doing, but just don't have the time or inclination to listen to all of my stuff, and I do understand that, I don't take it personally, you can also then benefit from the discussions and the episodes that you are not listening to in full. You can also find new episodes to listen to without having to give an hour of your time to determine whether it was worth it or not. So in this installment of the Best of Muscle for Life, you are going to be hearing hand-picked morsels from 3 episodes. The first is an interview that I did with Dan John on easy strength for quick, efficient workouts that really work. That's the name of the episode. And the second episode featured today is a monologue that I recorded on naps. Can they help you gain muscle and strength faster? Which is also the title. Can naps help you gain muscle and strength faster? And then finally, another monologue called Secrets Don't Work Unless You've Worked for Them. So let's start with the highlight reel from my interview with Dan John.
If I say I'm lifting weights to my grandson, Danny, he'll show me a double bicep. If you talk to a team of basketball players, we're going to start doing more weight training. They're going to start talking about how they look good on the beach. This is all relatively new in our field. The idea that you would go into you would practice getting stronger is the tradition. So easy strength is, I always explain it like, it's like learning how to type. You know, I got a keyboard here. And if I just grabbed your finger and smashed it on A to failure, you wouldn't be a better typist. Your left pinky would be exhausted. But and so the traditional way of getting strong is the same way you learned it to type, play the guitar. It's practice over time, and then the nervous system adapts. And then after a while, those adaptations cause a stress in the body because of the load is getting bigger. And then that beautiful phrase that Rob Wolf says, and then the hormonal cascade happens. And that's when you develop hypertrophy and those other qualities. I've been lifting weights since 1965. And if I've been blitzing and bombing since 1965, I don't know if I'd have a joint that still worked. And what bothers me about these Instagram clowns and the crap you see, and thankfully magazines are disappearing. Sadly, the internet took over, but it's this nonsense. That's why I love track and field and swimming so much, is you got these two sports that you can see when anything you've added works or doesn't work. And you can just see it. I mean, if the discus goes farther, you jump higher, you run the hurdles faster, whatever we did, even if it's stupid, worked. And my knock on hypertrophy work for athletes and even general population is that the old phrase, and it's a bit sexist, but I still like it. Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. And that is, I think, a real truism. I'm 64 and I'm still the person people call when they want to move a couch. I'm 64 and I still win Highland games with the opens, and it's because these guys, God bless them, they're training like bodybuilders to do an explosive throwing sport. And it's just wrong.
So what is easy strength?
Well, easy strength is an idea, obviously been around a long time. And really, it's where it really boomed is that Charles Staley used to have a thing called the boot camp, and he invited speakers to come down. Well, one year his speaker canceled just a few days before. Pavel Satsulin and I sat down after and we're talking, and he said, how busy are you? And I said, I'm working 2 full-time jobs. At the time, I was an administrator and a college professor, and 2 full-time jobs. I got 2 daughters at home. Balls are in the air. And he said, for the next 40 days, pick 5 lifts, never go to failure, never do more than 10 total reps. So that's 3 sets of 3, 2 sets of 5 is the standard. And by the way, this
in a single workout.
Okay. This cutting edge workout is exactly what you'll get in this book here. From 1962, the Sears Barbell and Dumbbell exercise program from Ted Williams. It's funny how when he told me the program, I said, I've heard this before. It's the way people train when I was young. And I followed it to the absolute T. The key is this. And for example, I one of the exercises I picked was incline bench press. And so I started off with 2 sets of 5 with 165, which is, air. And I kept doing that until, like he said, it felt so light, it was silly. So I jumped to 185. I jumped a week or so later, I'm at 205. A week or so later, I'm 255, all 2 sets of 5 with that exercise. And then one day by myself in my garage, and it's winter, December, so it's freezing here in Utah, I benched 315 for a double, no spotter, with a car at my feet that a brand new car, if I missed the lift. So my incline bench had been only 300, but I did 315 for a double. So a 15-pound jump in my PR for a double. Easily could have got more, but I racked it because I didn't want to do any damage to myself or the car. And then I thought to myself, when I put the bar in, it's like, okay, this is 22 days. So basically we're looking at week 5-ish, because I lift 5 days a week. And I had added 15 pounds to a lift. And I'm not some guy who just showed up. I'm a pretty experienced lifter. I was an international level thrower at the time. And I'm like, this is too good to be true. Many of the workouts, I did a workout one time on the light day where I was boiling a pot of water for something for dinner. I put the pot of water on. When it came to a boil, the workout was over. 5 exercises. That was a light day. So it was just a 1 set of 10, just kind of a tonic workout. And I thought to myself, and then that season I go out and I'm throwing the discus and I'm doing Highland games, and people keep coming up and going, hey man, what are you on? And I'm like, I'm on nothing. This is the workout I'm doing. And I would tell them literally, line by line, point by point, on a napkin at a restaurant, going to the exact numbers I'm using. And they're like, no, really, what are you on? No, nothing. You're working out 2 hours a day in the weight room, and I'm working out 15 minutes, and I'm throwing farther than you. At least show some intellectual integrity and think through what I just said. And they can't, because of the same problems I guarantee the bulk of your listeners are going to have. The problem is, if something easier comes by and it makes you go, wait a second, so I can do less and get more, it makes you very angry and literally unable to almost hear. If I'm working with a discus thrower, easy strength would come and go through the season appropriately. We might have a real focused Olympic lifting 3 weeks and then go easy strength after that. In the off season with the thrower, you might be on a mass building program, high rep squats and things like that. If I'm working with a general client, you probably tap out on the easy strength. We say the 40 workouts, but honestly, I've discovered 6 to 8 weeks of it. You pick 5 exercises, you do a total of 10 reps, 3 sets of 3, 2 sets of 5, whatever. At about 2 months, you've pretty much tapped out. Now, I think easy strength can continue to get you stronger, but we're not dealing with machines. We're dealing with humans, and you got to change things up.
And as far as the programming goes, what does the frequency on these exercises look like?
So I have a 2-week template. You'd remember that from the book. If you're doing 5 days a week, you'd have probably 3 of the workouts be 2 sets of 5, kind of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next exercise. 1 day a week, maybe a set of 10, light, 40, 35% of your max. I mean, light, just greasing the groove. Just as we know, and the nervous system is still working on that one. And then 1 day a week, like a 5, 3, 2, where you got to make that double, which is gently heavier. That would be great. I have also had some good success with having now with the Olympic lifts. I've been experimenting with this, where basically I have 3 lightish days a week. But this is the Olympic lifts. The bar starts on the floor, it goes overhead, I stand up, I drop it. It's a whole body movement. So you might be able to get away with more light and medium with a full body movement than you would with a pull-up, which is, the pull-up stroke that's not very long of a stroke, or the, overhead press. Those are pretty short strokes. Actually, the workout I usually recommend for most people is a vertical press, a military press, a vertical pull, generally pull up, chin up, neutral grip, pull up, lat pull down if you have to. Okay. A deadlift.
Or maybe an assisted pull up if you need to.
If you need to, sure. A deadlift variation. And usually I recommend either like deadlift off the rack. So you don't even have to worry about bringing the bar off the floor, the ab wheel, and then like something like a farmer walk. That's like one of my favorite to-goes. And then if you want to lose fat, you go for the walk. It can be that easy. So, so the downside of missing big lifts is that they hurt you. This surgery is from a miss. Both of those surgeries are from misses. In fact, I can probably go through them, all the surgeries I've had, and most of the time it was failed attempts. But at the second level is we're trying to teach the nervous system to be as efficient as possible. And if you miss, you're not teaching the nervous system. Well, what happens very quickly, like you say, you can't see how you can get hypertrophy from it. But, I remember one time my friend John Price and I, we both benched 365 for 10 reps. And my thought process is, for the gentle listener, it was only one set of 10, but I don't know about you, but if you bench 365 for 10, there's a chance your body is going to respond somehow to that load. And so if you get
a lot of weight,
it's a lot of weight when the bar bends when it touches your chest. Yeah. If you're squatting 605, like my friend Bish used to do for 10, there's a good chance your body's going to go, hey, we better do some growing here because something happened out there. So I think you can, by training the nervous system hard enough, getting the loads, reps and sets appropriate, load appropriate, but over time, you will get the hormonal response.
And the key to that, the weights do need to get heavier though. So I guess people listening may wonder, okay, so all right, I get it. Make sure the weights are light. Definitely not going to miss any sets, but how do I progressively overload? How do I get stronger? How do I go from where I'm at to ending this 8 weeks with heavier weights?
Well, Mike, that's the hard part. And when I first wrote the book, Easy Strength with Pavel, we had this great conversation. When you're working with people who deadlift 300, and then you're working with people who deadlift 600, these rules of 95% and 90 don't work. So that's where I came up. And it's a very important part of Easy Strength. So one of my best lifts of my life was at the national championship. If I make the lift, I'm national champion. If I miss, I take fourth place. Well, I make the lift. Now, here's the thing. Can I ever equal that lift? If someone says to me, well, okay, so your workout today is 90% of that. Well, no, that was to win the nationals in Baton Rouge under a ton of pressure, pull it out of my rear end. It was a one-off lift. So what you have to do with Easy Strength is you have to really figure out, and the words I use are sort of max, well, and the one I just said is a max, an unrepeatable lift. The longer you're around people, the more you'll have a story with every single attempt. Every single max I have has a story in it because you had to make a choice. It was for a contest. You were trying to break a state record. There's always a story to it. So one of the problems we have with Easy Strength is that conversation about what is easy, what is light. People want percents, but when you deadlift, like if I'm working with a guy who deadlifts 800, a 50% deadlift is 4. Now, the recovery inroad that an easy 400-pound deadlift is still a huge inroad into your recovery abilities. So if you deadlift 8, your light day might be 225. And wait, that's ridiculous. That's not a percent. Yeah, I know. So that's kind of this is where the art of Easy Strength comes in. You might have some listeners here who want to try it, and they're going to try to do 50%, but their bench press is say 150 pounds, and they're going to put 75 in their male. I don't get anything out of it. Well, yeah, because there's light and there's reasonable, but you have to kind of dial that in for yourself. So Easy Strength is not for somebody who doesn't want to be tuned into their body, tuned into their training history. If you want to be told exactly what to do, just go online and buy someone's program. But if you really want to experiment with what your abilities can be, then Easy Strength is an option. So that's why I think Easy Strength works with people who've been around the block a little bit, not because they know, well, they do know one thing. They know what easy feels like. That's the one gift they have. But they've also slammed their face against that wall enough to know that I don't want to slam my face into the wall much longer. I was fortunate when I first did the program because all I had was 35s and 25s. So those were my options. And then I got a 45-pound plate. So you'll notice my options went 165, that's a 35 plus 25. 185, 45 plus 25. 205, 45, 255. So it was nice. So for me, I like the big, I don't want to see you adding tiny plates on the sides. I'd like to see big jumps.
Okay.
Now, Pavel is really interesting about that. He believes there should only be 2 plates in a gym, the 45-pound plates and the 25. And his idea on this is that it gets you, if you're going to jump from 185 on the bench to 225, you're going to spend a lot more time at 185 practicing good technique and making things are clean before you jump, boom, to the 2 big plates. By the way, when I talk like this sometimes, and this has got to be careful about this, Mike, I did not tell anybody that that's what you have to do. This is an intellectual discussion about what would be a really good way for most people to figure things out. I like substantial jumps.
All right, that's it for the featured snippets of the interview I did with Dan John. If you liked what you heard and you want to listen to the entire episode, you can find it in August of 2021. So if you just go back to August 2021 and look for Dan John on easy strength for quick, efficient workouts that really work, you can listen to the whole episode. All right, let's move on now to the featured moments from Can Naps Help You Gain Muscle and Strength Faster? But first, how would you like a free meal planning tool that figures out your calories, your macros, even your micros, and then allows you to create 100% custom meal plans for cutting, lean gaining, or maintaining in under 5 minutes? Well, all you got to do is go to buylegion.com/mealplan, buylegion.com/mealplan, and download the tool. And if I may say, this tool really is fantastic. My team and I spent over 6 months on this thing working with an Excel wizard, and inferior versions of this are often sold for $50, $60, even $100. Or you have to download an app and pay every month, or sign up for a weight loss service and pay every month $10, $20, $40, $50, even $60 a month for what is essentially in this free tool. So if you are struggling to improve your body composition, if you are struggling to lose fat or gain muscle, the right meal plan can change everything. Dieting can go from feeling like running in the sand in a sandstorm to riding a bike on a breezy day down a hill. So again, if you want my free meal planning tool, go to buylegion.com/mealplan, buylegion.com/mealplan, enter your email address, and you will get instant access. All right, so let's talk about naps. Can taking naps help you gain muscle and strength faster? Can it help you perform better in your workouts? Can it help you lose fat faster? Well, what is certain is getting enough sleep can do all of those things. Research shows that the right sleep schedule can certainly improve your workout performance. It can improve your workout recovery. It can help you gain muscle and strength faster. It can help you lose fat faster, minimally by helping you control your appetite. And research shows that the minimum amount of sleep required to reap all of those benefits for most people is between 7 and 9 hours every night. However, studies show that extending that to 10 plus hours per night or per day, and this will bring us into napping, can be even better. That said, many people find it hard to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night, let alone 10 plus. Let's look at some research. In a recent study conducted by scientists at Sfax University, the researchers wanted to understand the effect of different nap times on cognitive and physical performance and subjective ratings of muscle soreness, mood, fatigue, stress, and sleep quality. And so they took 20 physically active male participants and they gave them the opportunity to nap for 3 different amounts of time, 25, 35, or 45 minutes. And then there was a control group who didn't take naps, and each nap time was separated by 72 hours, during which time participants did not take naps, and then the nap times were completed in a random order. And although the participants were given ideal sleeping conditions to take their naps in, whether they actually slept or how long or how well they slept wasn't measured, only the amount of time in bed. So what were the results of this study? Well, the researchers found that the longer the participants were allowed to nap, so up to 45 minutes, the better they performed on various physical and mental tests and tasks, like a jump test, a digit cancellation task, which helps measure things like focus and how fast you can process information, subjective ratings of mood, and a questionnaire that was used to gauge stress, sleep quality, fatigue, and muscle soreness on a scale from 1 to 7. So again, improvements across the board, with the greatest improvements seen in the 45-minute nap group, which, to repeat myself, was a nap opportunity. So not 45 minutes of sleep, but just a 45-minute nap. And some people obviously slept more and some people slept less during that 45-minute period, depending on how long it took them to fall asleep. And the same thing goes for the other groups. There are several other studies that back these findings up as well. I found 4 others, for example, that showed that naps improved physical and cognitive performance and reduced levels of subjective fatigue and stress. And while I did also find a couple of studies that showed no such effects, the weight of the evidence based on my review of the research is that naps do improve physical and mental performance and reduce fatigue and stress in many people. So let's now apply this to working out. Again, let's look at it through the lens of body composition, so gaining muscle, losing fat, and then also workout performance and what that means for gaining muscle and gaining strength. So there's no evidence that naps are going to make you instantly stronger. So let's say you work out at 4 p.m. You are probably not going to perform immediately better in that workout if you slept enough the night before and took a nap at, let's say, 12 or 1 p.m. But something you may immediately notice is if you take a nap, the workout may feel less difficult. It may lower the perceived exertion, the perceived difficulty, if you were to rate the amount of effort it's taking to do your workout. And that can help improve performance because that can help you feel like you can work harder in your workout. If you take a nap before you train, you may notice that your focus is higher, that you have more attentional energy to give to your workout, and that can positively influence your workout. And so that's another way that naps can immediately enhance your training. And a final way is just lowering stress levels and lowering fatigue levels, which is conducive to better workouts. It doesn't guarantee better workouts depending on how you respond to stress and fatigue, but in most of us, it is going to help us get a little bit more out of our workouts. So if I have convinced you to include some napping in your regimen, at least here and there, for example, you may not want to nap every day, but just the days where you're going to be doing some heavy squatting or deadlifting or bench pressing or overhead pressing, maybe 3 days per week, for example. If you are now thinking about doing this, I have a few tips for you. One is to avoid napping for too long because research shows that if you nap for more than 45 minutes, and again, this means nap opportunity, not sleeping 45 minutes, but if you get into bed with a timer of, let's say, 60 or 90 minutes, that is going to increase the chances that you fall into deep sleep. And the more deep sleep you get during the day, the harder it is going to be to sleep at night. And you don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. You don't want to take longer, more restful naps in the day that then make it harder to sleep at night. The primary focus should be getting plenty of high quality sleep at night and then supplementing that with a little bit of napping. So set that timer for 30 or 45 minutes. And again, the study I mentioned earlier showed that 45 minutes was generally better than 30 minutes. Another tip is to not nap after 3 p.m. because if you take a nap later in the afternoon or even in the beginning of the evening, it can make it more difficult to sleep at night. So the best time to nap is right around lunchtime, 12 or 1 p.m. Also, don't nap right before you are going to do a workout or a cognitively demanding task. Don't go from getting out of bed right into your workout or your deep work session because research shows that even 30-minute naps often require a period of time afterward for our body and our brain to wake up and be ready for a high level of exertion, whether it's physical exertion or cognitive exertion. And also, if you are having trouble getting into the habit of napping, it can help to avoid caffeine or at least have your caffeine earlier in the morning. Give yourself at least 4, 5, 6 hours in between the first dose of caffeine and your nap. Make sure that your room is dark and quiet and cold. Those are your baseline conditions that are conducive to good sleep. It also can help to find ways to reduce stress levels before you attempt to nap. So you could take a hot bath path. Doesn't have to be long. I know that even though many of us now are working at home and we've saved time that we normally would waste commuting and commiserating around the water cooler, we don't necessarily have the time to, let's say, take a 45-minute nap with a 45-minute preparatory routine. But a short, maybe 5 or 10 minute hot bath, or a little bit of reading, or a little bit of listening to calming music or breathing techniques can help you relax and then actually get to sleep. All right, that's it for clips from Can Naps Help You Gain Muscle and Strength Faster? And if you want to listen to that episode, it was published in September of 2021, so you can go back and find it. And let's move on now to the third and final episode featured in this episode, Secrets Don't Work Unless You've Worked for Them. Now, you have a lot of people out there that want to do a lot of things. You have a lot of people who want to lose that belly fat. They want to pick those winning stocks, or they want to pick up those winning dates. And many of those people are frantically searching for one thing. They're searching for secrets, hacks, shortcuts, ways to get more for less. And while there's nothing wrong with trying to be efficient in your work and trying to get the most output from the least amount of input. In fact, that's something you should strive for, I think, in all areas of your life. It is a mistake to look at people that can do things that we can't, or that have things that we don't, like they're magicians, like they possess some sort of arcane wisdom, and that's what has allowed them to rise above the rest. Don't be fooled by the well-groomed image that many of these people present to the world. These people are not dandy, dainty show horses. These people are stubborn plow horses. These people have spent more time just working their fields than any rational person would. These people know every bump, stump, and hump by name. The yokes are almost form-fitted to these people's leathery necks. If an activity is even remotely complex, there are just so many techniques and methods and skills and variables, and some are easily teachable and some are not. And the only way to make sense of all of those secrets, all of those parts, is to spend a lot of time in very deliberate, mindful practice. The real secret to really standing out in any way, whether it's your work or your body or some other area of your life, is skill. And the only way to get skill is to stop looking for the special robes and crystal balls and incantations and just put on your overalls and grab one of those hammers that are lying around and get to work. Because the truth is, if you don't want to work for them, then secrets will never work for you. Dollars to donuts, you can take that one to the bank. I believe it's almost axiomatic. So you can read books, you can read blogs, you can get tips that may supply pieces to the puzzle, but in the end, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and you are going to have to figure out how everything fits together. The most straightforward path toward a great anything is almost always straight through pain. Straight into pain and straight through pain. The most reliable route to efficiency is looking for the aspects of whatever we're talking about that are toughest and usually least enjoyable, that produce the least amount of instant gratification. I look immediately for those things because more often than not, those are the things that, if done well enough and consistently enough, produce outstanding results. Most people that say they want to become a better writer are not going to be willing to spend, let's say on average, 45 to 60 minutes a day reading things that are challenging, reading things that are difficult, that make you think, that challenge your vocabulary and force you to learn new words, and then spend a considerable amount of time writing every day, whether they feel like it or not, whether they feel inspired or not. Sit down, do the work, put in the hard time learning new words by using the dictionary. So anyway, that's an area of my work where I've really tried to take a first principles approach and where I've really looked for the uncomfortable stuff that most people don't want to do and that I think will provide the most benefit. And usually those things are correlated. In fact, I bet you it would be productive if before you got into anything, you went and interviewed 20 people that have spent some time doing it and have gotten maybe okay. And you asked them, what are the top 3 things that you are not doing right now that you probably should be doing if you really wanted to get as good as you can at whatever this thing is? If you ask that question to enough people, I bet you could probably just start there. Look for the common denominators of those surveys and just start there, and you would make a lot faster progress than most people. Now, if everything that I've been talking about is discouraging to you, I think that you are looking at it wrong. Hunting for secrets is discouraging. Stumbling around in the dark, anxiously turning over rocks in search of arcana is discouraging, because a part of us, the intuitive part, knows that we are trying to catch wind with a net when we do this. On the other hand, donning the yoke can be incredibly encouraging, because while yes, it is bulky and uncomfortable at first, there is a lot of solace to be had in knowing that no matter how tough the experience is going to be, or how unenjoyable or unfun the experience is going to be, it will transform you for the better. So you want to lose weight, you want to build muscle, you want to make more money, you want to learn something new, whatever you want to do, just don't be one of the suckers who is groping around for secrets. Just find the field, throw on the yoke, and get pulling, and eventually the quote-unquote magic will happen, and then everyone will marvel at your overnight success and at how lucky you got. Because of course they don't understand the process. That is their worldview. They themselves are trying to get lucky. They themselves are chasing overnight success and simply don't realize that it's a myth. And that's it for some of my favorite snippets from Secrets Don't Work Unless You've Worked for Them. And if you want to listen to that whole episode, it was published in March of 2018. Well, I hope you liked this episode. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, subscribe to the show, because it makes sure that you don't miss new episodes. And it also helps me because it increases the rankings of the show a little bit, which of course then makes it a little bit more easily found by other people who may like it just as much as you. And if you didn't like something about this episode or about the show in general, or if you have ideas or suggestions or just feedback to share, shoot me an email, mike@muscleforlife.com, muscleforlife.com, and let me know what I could do better, or just what your thoughts are about maybe what you'd like to see me do in the future. I read everything myself. I'm always looking for new ideas and constructive feedback. So thanks again for listening to this episode, and I hope to hear from you soon.